She sits there, heart racing, breath caught in the space between uncertainty and hope. Does he love me? The question rattles inside her, but no words come to answer it. He doesn't say it, he never does. But something in the way he looks at her, the way he moves, the way he lingers just a second too long, makes her chest tighten. She feels it deep, undeniable, but still, doubt creeps in. And you know this feeling, don't you? Sitting across from him, wondering if his silence hides something more. Scanning every glance, every shift, every touch, searching for proof that his heart beats just as wildly as yours. Because women know we feel love before we hear it. We sense it in the way his body tenses when we laugh, in the way his hands twitch like they want to reach for us, in the way he angles himself toward us, as if drawn by something even he doesn't understand. But here's the truth, sis. His body already told you. Men may hide behind silence, behind fear, behind pride, but their bodies, they betray them. And once you know the signs, once you see the truth in the way he moves, you'll never doubt it again. His love is there, screaming from his fingertips, thundering in the space between you. All you have to do is listen. So, don't scroll away. Today, we're unlocking the 5 undeniable body language signs that he secretly loves you. These aren't weak, flimsy signals. They're raw, pulsing proof of a love too powerful to stay hidden. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly what to look for. And once you see it, you'll never unsee it. Like this video if you've ever questioned what his body was trying to tell you. Subscribe to Girlify Mind, where we turn love's whispers into truth. And tell me in the comments, what's the one moment that made you wonder if he felt the same? I'm listening. Now let's dive in, because his body is already speaking. It's time for you to hear it. 1. His eyes find you and refuse to let go. She's not imagining it. She feels it, a heat, a pull, a magnetic force that locks onto her before she even turns to look. And when she does, there they are. His eyes, steady, unblinking, holding her like a secret he's terrified to lose. It's not a fleeting glance, not just another passing look. It's deliberate, deep, hungry. A gaze that lingers 1 second too long, 2 seconds too much, and a lifetime too meaningful to be ignored. And she knows this moment. You know this moment. The way the air shifts when you catch him watching. The way his eyes don't dart away in guilt, but hold on, like you're the only thing that makes sense in the chaos around him. Maybe it's across the room at a party. Maybe it's in a crowded cafe. Maybe it's in the quiet stillness of a long drive home. But every time, it does the same thing. It steals your breath, shakes your world, sets your heart racing. Because his words may hesitate, but his eyes, they don't know how to lie. He won't say it, maybe not yet, maybe not ever, but his gaze betrays him. It drinks you in, memorizes the curve of your smile, tracks your every move without him even realizing it. His love sits there, raw, unspoken, tucked into every stolen glance. And the second you feel it, you know. Ladies, don't ignore this. A man who doesn't care won't look at you like this. He won't get lost in you like you're his favorite daydream. But if his eyes hold on just a little too long, a little too tight, you already have your answer. Drop a fire emoji in the comments if you've ever felt this gaze. Because, sister, if his eyes have already confessed, what are you waiting for? Second, his hands move without thinking, and always toward you. A brush of fingertips, a lingering touch, a moment that should have been nothing, but it wasn't because it stayed. You felt it. Maybe it was when he passed you something, his fingers grazing yours just a second longer than necessary. Maybe it was when he laughed and nudged your shoulder, light, playful, but his hand stayed, just resting there like home. Maybe it was the way his knee bumped yours under the table and he didn't pull away. And that's the key, isn't it? He didn't pull away. Because love isn't always fireworks and grand declarations. Sometimes it's in the way his body fights to stay close to yours. And it's not just the touches, it's the tension. The way his hands twitch when they're near you, like they're aching to close the space, but he's holding himself back. The way he adjusts his sleeves when you walk by, fidgeting, suddenly aware of his own movements. The way he leans in even when he doesn't have to, drawn to you like gravity itself has decided where he belongs. Sisters, this is your sign. Men don't overthink touch the way women do. When a man doesn't feel anything, his body keeps its distance. But when he secretly loves you, his body betrays him. His hands linger, his presence wraps around you. He finds reasons, small, innocent, but constant, to touch, to stay, to reach. Have you ever felt it? That touch that says everything his lips won't? Drop a dizzy emoji in the comments if you know exactly what I'm talking about. Because love isn't always spoken. But sister, if his hands refuse to let you go, believe me, neither does his heart. Third, his body points to you. Even when he's not looking, you're not speaking. He's across the room, busy in his own world. And yet he's facing you. His body, even without thinking, is always turned toward you. It happens at dinner. He leans in when you talk, his chest open, drawn into you like a magnet. It happens in a group. Everyone's chatting, laughing, but if you pay attention, his feet, his torso, his entire frame is angled toward you. And when he stands next to you, his shoulders square, his arms relax, his body settles, like this is where he belongs. This isn't random. This isn't coincidence. When a man secretly loves you, his body will always seek you out. Even when he's not aware of it, even when he's distracted, he'll find his way back to you. It's science, it's instinct, it's something deeper than he even understands. And the biggest giveaway? He doesn't do it with anyone else. Have you ever watched him in a crowded room? Have you seen the way, no matter who he's talking to, his body somehow always finds its way back to you? Maybe it's the way his chair drifts closer. Maybe it's the way he mirrors your movements, crossing his arms when you do, tilting his head like yours. Maybe it's the way, even when he's not speaking to you, his entire presence feels tied to yours. This is love in its rawest form. Before the words, before the labels, before even he understands it, his body already knows. Sisters, if his body keeps returning to you, it's not by accident. He may be silent, but his posture, his stance, his presence, they all scream the truth. Tell me, have you ever felt this? Have you ever watched a man's body tell the story his lips refuse to? Drop a eyes emoji in the comments if you know exactly what I mean. Because sister, if his body keeps pointing at you, he's already yours. Fourth, his breath catches when you get too close. She steps closer, just a little, just enough to feel the heat between them, and that's when it happens. A hitch in his breath. A pause. A moment so small, so fleeting, but louder than any confession. It could be anything. A brush of her arm, an accidental touch, a whisper just near his ear. And in that split second, his body reacts before his mind can hide it. His breath catches, his lips part, maybe his chest rises just a little sharper than before. It's quick, so quick he probably hopes she doesn't notice. But she does, because she feels it too. And that's the truth, isn't it? When love is real, the body can't fake it. You know this moment. You've felt it. You've stepped too close, and suddenly, the air thickens. Maybe his fingers tighten around his glass. Maybe his Adam's apple bobs, like swallowing down something too big to speak. Maybe he exhales slow, like he's forcing himself to stay calm. Sisters, a man who doesn't feel won't react. He won't go still when you lean in. His breath won't shift when you touch him. His body won't betray him like this. But when he secretly loves you, every inch of him screams it before his lips ever can. Watch for it. Feel the energy when you step near. If the air crackles, if his chest tightens, if that sharp inhale shakes the space between you, he's already yours. Drop a dash emoji in the comments if you've ever caught a man losing his breath over you. Because girl, his lungs just told you what his heart is too afraid to say. 5. His smile. When he thinks you're not looking, you turn your head, glance away for just a second. And that's when it happens. His guard drops. His face softens. And there it is. That smile. Not the polite one. Not the one he shows the world, but the real one. The one made just for you. It's quick, unguarded. A moment where his love slips through before he can shove it back down. Maybe it happens when you're lost in conversation with someone else. Maybe it's when you're laughing, eyes sparkling, unaware that he's watching. Maybe it's when you brush your hair behind your ear, oblivious to the way his chest tightens just looking at you. And you've seen this before, haven't you? That smile that lingers a little too long. That warmth in his eyes that he only lets show when he thinks no one's watching. Because this isn't just attraction. This isn't a smirk, a flirt, a practice move. This is love, breaking through the cracks. A man can fake a lot of things, but not this. Not the way his face lights up like you're the best thing he's ever seen. Not the way his eyes soften like he's memorizing every detail of you. Not the way his entire body leans into the moment, like he's home. Sisters, if you've ever caught him smiling at you when you weren't looking, you already know. That's not just a smile. It's his heart, raw and real, spilling out right in front of you. Drop a smile in the comments if you've ever caught that look. Because girl, his face just gave him away. He protects you, without saying a word. It's not loud. It's not flashy. It's instinct. You're walking down the street, and he shifts, just slightly, to the side nearest the road. You're in a crowded space, and suddenly, his hand hovers near your back, guiding you without touching. You're cold, and before you can say anything, his jacket is already draped over your shoulders. Sisters, this is love in motion. Because a man who secretly loves you doesn't need to say, "I'll take care of you." He just does. His body moves before his mind even registers it. His instincts pull him to you, to keep you safe, to shield you, to make sure you're okay. And it's not just the big things. It's in the way he leans in when someone's making you uncomfortable. It's the way his eyes scan the room, checking, noticing, making sure you're good. It's the way he stands close, even when there's space. Because when a man loves you, he protects you. Not because he thinks you can't handle yourself, but because his heart won't let him do anything else. Sisters, pay attention to this. Words can be empty. Grand gestures can be rehearsed. But instinct? That's real. That's love moving through his veins, proving itself in every quiet, unseen moment. Drop a shield and joy in the comments if you've ever felt this protection. Because girl, his actions just told you everything his mouth won't. Conclusion, his love was never silent. You just had to listen. And there it is. 5 signs. 5 undeniable moments where his body screamed, what his lips refused to say. You felt them. You knew them. The way his eyes held you captive, the way his hands couldn't resist lingering, the way his breath hitched when you got too close, the way his smile betrayed him, the way his entire being stood between you and harm. Every sign, every touch, every glance, proof. Sisters, love isn't always loud. Sometimes it hides in the spaces between words. Sometimes it lingers in a glance, a breath, a quiet act of protection. But it's always there, always whispering, always roaring if you know where to look. And now, you do. So, the next time you wonder, does he love me? Don't listen to his words. Watch his body. Because that's where the truth lives. That's where his love hides. And if you see these signs, sister, you already have your answer. Like this video if you've ever felt love in silence. Subscribe to Girlify Mind for more truths about the way men love. Because here, we don't just guess. We see. We know. And drop a fire sign in the comments if one of these signs hit you hard. Because girl, you deserve a love that speaks. Even when it never says a word.